Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This video is brought to you by First Detachment Nutrition. Battle tested, expert formulated. Use discount code AB10 at checkout for 10% off. All right, Gym Bros, what's up? Big Paul here with Dynamite D. What's going on, David?
How's it going, bro? How was your weekend? How'd the show go?
It was good. My God, it was a long show. There were a lot of competitors. I thought bodybuilding was dead, man, but there were a ton of bodybuilders yesterday. The last few shows I'd been to, local shows, it was like 901 men's physique guys and 8 bodybuilders. It was.
I've actually seen an upswing within the past year. I know when Classic released, people started transferring out of bodybuilding into Classic, and now I'm seeing actually a transference or an uplift or a revitalization of bodybuilding. And it was right around the time when I think Sean Roden won the Olympia that they started cutting more into the more aesthetically appealing physique again. That's a muscle mass. We all know that. But I did see an upswing in bodybuilding just within the past like 2-3 years or so.
Yeah, there were a ton of bodybuilders because I competed in the same show last year, and it was pretty sparse when I was there. But it was it's a pro-am show, which is always interesting. So you got we had a pro men's physique guy. Here's Kolton.
Sorry, I'm late.
Kolton. No problem. Everybody's late. It's Sunday, man. We're just casually strolling into the live stream. So
casually.
Todd's in the bathroom, and Colin's doing Colin things. It's a Sunday. But Steve said he may or may not poke in. I don't know. And then Chase is in Greece, I think, for the next 3 weeks, something like that. Because he's got Chase money and he can go to Greece for 3 weeks. I can't get away from my desk for more than 8 hours, man. Without freaking the fuck out.
Dude, I feel that.
Sucks.
Wait, Sundays are supposed to be off days, right?
Yeah, right. In the real people world, my God, if it was like when I went to the New York Pro, I was running like almost 24 hours behind on my check-ins, and people were losing their goddamn minds.
I know, man.
I'm like, I haven't forgotten about you guys. I haven't forgotten about you. But yeah, it was neat the show yesterday. There was actually a lot of bodybuilders. I was shocked.
Was it a regional?
Yeah, the DC Pro-Am.
Okay.
It's the one I competed in last year, but this year there were way more competitors. And then the men's physique guys were they had the men's physique pros. It was only men's physique pros there. So
how was the pro show for men's physique?
I mean, the pros were great, man. They were bigger than all the amateur bodybuilders.
They're huge. Did you hear about the weight caps?
I was going to talk about that.
That's good. Can you imagine the guys sweating bullets right now who are like 260? Oh.
You thought they didn't train legs now.
So crazy enough, I think they're actually changing the criteria on legs because Tyler made a very obvious post at dig at like you can just detrain your legs. I think they're going to be judging on like legs and overall aesthetically appealing physiques as a balance as a whole now. And on top of it, I actually talked to Ariel right after they announced it. I'm like, so are you going to have them detrain their legs in a joking manner? He's like, absolutely not. He's like, all my guys are actually under the cap right now for the most part.
Wow. Fascinating.
I mean, he's the men's physique guy. Everybody gets cut.
He built the division, man. I swear.
Who is it?
Cuts.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does he coach Brandon Henderson? I can't remember.
He coaches everybody.
Everyone. Pretty much everyone. Aaron's with him though.
I would say that men's physique is the division I know the least about. I probably, female bodybuilding, female physique, and men's physique I know absolutely nothing about. I know bikini, wellness, classic, 212, and open bodybuilding.
I have a couple of men's physique guys I train. It's interesting. I really don't have them like as far as the actual weight training. I don't have them do a whole lot different. We do focus a little more on width, things like shoulders and back width and things like that. But
what do you do for back width, like vertical lat pulling?
Vertical pulling. I'll throw some extra volume at shoulders and a little extra volume at back, and then maybe only train because I do everything twice a week, so I'll just pull it back to one leg day usually for them, and then everything else, put a little extra volume into things that would make them wider.
It's interesting you bring that up because it's like, what do the men's physique guys have? They have delt caps, arms, and lats, and that's kind of what I think I need the most of. So
even their arms aren't that big. Like us, you look at all the guys backstage. None of them had giant arms. It seemed like it was all delts, chest, lats. That was it, man.
So their arms just look big relative to their tiny waists.
Yeah.
Are they doing any type of special vacuum training that the bodybuilders aren't? The standard 10 reps in the morning, 10 reps at night for vacuums, and that's pretty much what everyone seems to be doing now.
What I do is with those, I have 2 nationally qualified ones this year, which I'm really excited about, but their off-season food is just relatively lower, so they never really get that distension in the first place.
I see.
And I don't have them do a lot of the heavy leg stuff. Like they'll do leg extensions, curls, and all that adductor work and stuff, but I won't have them do squats, hack squats, leg presses. And ultimately, they just don't need it. And I find that lack of intra-abdominal pressure created through those movements kind of keeps the waist a little bit smaller in and of itself.
So,
it does seem that way.
So it brings up a question is like, for example, I've been switching to belt squat so that, because like if I'm squatting 455 on a Smith, which is the safest spinal loaded squat,
right?
If I go up to 500, I would expect to see a 10% increase in my waist diameter because I'm seeing a 10% load increase through that core. So to prevent the load increasing, I have to basically use belt squats to load the legs and bypass the spine. However, there is likely intra-abdominal pressure because I'm going to be bracing but I don't feel anything in the core. A lot of times, even with leg press, I feel like my guts are being crushed, not my legs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found, do you think that the belt squat is a way of hyperloading the legs in a way that bypasses waist widening intra-abdominal pressure?
I was actually just talking with Paul about it the other day because we were talking about machines and I asked if he had a belt squat. I think the belt squat is the best if you're trying to get a true barbell back squat movement out of it and you can't load down your back anymore. The closest thing to it is a belt squat. You can take Smith machine all day, but you can literally take the tension off your back. You also manipulate the movement to where you can still get like glute hamstring tie-ins, a little bit more preface on it, which is super unique because there's no squat movement out there besides a barbell back squat or maybe a manipulated Smith squat. But when you manipulate the Smith spot to get more onto the glutes, you actually get more pressure on the back because of the way that the pivot points are. So I like the belt squat a lot. Barbell back squat still my tried and true, but I do like the belt squat for that reason.
So I went and reviewed some of my old tapes and not using squat shoes, even when I put my feet out in front of me, my shins were pretty much perpendicular. In other words, I was using very little quads and I was using very little lower back. It was almost all glutes. Same thing with my leg presses. I was getting to like 90-degree angle of my knees. I wasn't getting very deep, big knee flexion. The training has changed entirely because it's more quad focused. So when I do the belt squat, the goal is still quads. And I guess the idea is because it's pulling you forward. I guess if you were to look at the moment arm, because I do side videos, right? And the angle that the belt is attached to the little lever is a diagonal lever. So the moment arm is actually longer, I think, than if it was right over your shoulders. So you get a little bit more moment arm at the knee, but I'm not an expert on this shit. I just try to cobble it together.
No, I like I really enjoy the Pit Shark belt squat because
that's the original, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like almost like this arcing motion, which is like almost similar to a hack squat or a pendulum squat in a weird way if you set yourself upright. I love that fucking thing. That thing's great.
Wait, Chase, you're coming to Michigan. What part of Michigan? Because I live in Michigan. I want to see your 270-pound monster in person.
The drivers up in Michigan are really interesting, by the way. I just want to throw that one out there.
Well, the drivers, it depends on where you're at. Like if you're in Detroit, it's like Chicago, only like their cars are falling apart.
Every time I drive through there, man, it's like going through a war zone. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's people. People are very aggressive drivers, specifically in Detroit itself. And it's funny because, well, I'm not going to say that, but like the suburbs, it's normal to me. And then when I go other places, I'm like, oh my God, these people drive so fucking slow. It's just like no fucking clue what they're doing. Completely not aware of what the other drivers around them are doing.
Speaking of traffic, come here sometime, man. I'm in Washington D.C., man. It's take your life in your hands when you drive here, man.
Same thing
We're
with Dallas.
fucking insane here, man.
Everyone goes 95 to 100 miles an hour, and it's just like no one gives. Like they'll turn lanes without blinkers, and it's just like no one gives a fuck.
Dude, I had this guy road rage on me one time. This is hilarious. I was driving home, and it was just like rush hour traffic and just shitty, awful traffic here, and I like pulled out in front of this dude and because he wouldn't let me in, so I just cut him off and got in front of him. One of those, that's a uniquely DC metro area, is not to let anybody merge in traffic. But anyway, he like road raged on me and followed me to the gym, and I got out of my car. He started to get out of his car, and he got out of his car and he looked at me and he goes, "Oh shit, I'm sorry." He gets back in his car and fucking leaves.
So it's like I put my blinker on, right? And I'm drifting over. And it's like they have two choices. They can either back up or they can get hit. So it's like, what's more important to them, their pride or their car? So they're going to back up, and then they're going to feel like a bitch, and they're going to be mad at me because they chose the wise choice.
Like using a blinker here is a handicap, man, because people are just going to cut you off. It's like, oh fuck no, I'm not letting this guy in. They speed up.
I feel like they need a warning. It's like, I am getting over. And you can either let me or you can get hit.
I live in Atlanta. They have rap songs about our highways, so I don't know if you want to one up that, but it's ridiculous out here. Like literally, if you're not going 100, you get run off the road.
Where are you at?
Where are you at?
Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been through Atlanta
through
before.
all those places. I don't remember any of them being that bad. Chicago is the only place that I remember being insanely confusing because you got off ramps to the left, off ramps to the right. Everything's turning. Everyone's going super fast.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been up to Seattle though? The drivers up there.
Yeah,
it's almost like gives me anxiety because it's slow, aggressive drivers. So they'll like cut people off in like slow motion, and you're not sure if it's reality or not, and you're like, oh, this is actually happening.
This is actually doing this.
Yeah, it's passive aggressive driving, right?
Every city has its own traffic style. It's like I went up to New York City a couple weeks ago for the New York Pro. And I swear there is no speed limit in New Jersey. It's just every man for himself. I was on Route 90, or the Jersey Turnpike coming up, and I was going 90 miles an hour, and people were just blowing by me. No, man. No cops anywhere.
That's
the cops just don't
get
give
out
a
of
fuck.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Don't either.
The place is insane. So anyway, the person who asked me, Matt, I live in Washington D.C. That's the question. Sorry, I got a sidetrack from Men's Physique.
He was just talking
about shitty drivers and the worst traffic in the country. Did you see this cracked me up? I saw this video this dude posted where he was interviewing girls on this British dude was interviewing girls on the street and had a picture of Chris Bumstead off season and asked them to rate his body. And it was the funniest shit. All these girls were saying, oh, he's got a dad. I got to show you this picture, but it's like, dude, he's got a dad bod, or he's a 2, or he's a 3. Chris Bumstead, guys. So that if off-season Chris Bumstead is not getting oohs and ahs from girls, we're all screwed.
Yeah. We just can't win, man. We can't win.
No.
I'm sure they're just lying.
They've got to be.
They're just.
It's got to be one of those things where the girl's like, I can't say he's attractive because, that's just not a fair picture.
That's a really bad picture.
Yeah, that's not a fair picture.
I still think he was good. So
He looks like Liver King there. That's not good.
He's got a mullet. His beard doesn't attach to the side of his hair. He's literally got his gut hanging out. His nipples are pointing down. He's middle of saying something, so he looks like a mouth breather. His head's down. He's got sloping shoulders. Like,
yeah, that's not good.
Well, it makes me feel a little better that Cbum looks like this in the off season. I feel a little better about my off season.
I'm pretty sure he like takes it pretty far off though. I'm from what I recollect, he's like, at least last year I think he didn't, but with Hani. But I'm pretty sure this was the year he was like, well, I'm just gonna enjoy myself. But
why not, man? He's Cbum. Who cares?
Well, he can't gain any muscle, so he literally can't train while he's in a surplus. So if he's going to go in a surplus, he has to stop lifting.
Can you imagine how nice that would be?
I don't think that would be nice. I like lifting.
So the crazy thing is the jump from 2021 to 2022, I saw him walk onto the stage in person, and I was like, the show's over. I didn't see him hit a pose. I was almost confused at how he made so much progress in a year with the quality and the condition that he brought, because he was definitely bigger every single area of his body, and it was mind-blowing. I don't know how he's still making weight cap.
Yeah. It was like he went from like a 19-year-old to a 28-year-old like overnight. It was fucking crazy. I was there too, and it was shocked me as like I was in my head. I was like, there's some scandalous shit going on. No way he made weight, because he looked 2 times bigger than anybody else. Motherfucker's still showing up though, and I'm like, wow. That
wasn't the story that he was like 17 pounds over the last like 10 days out or something crazy like that, and they had to do a massive water cut to get him in?
Do that hyper extension table thing. I can't remember what it's called, where they hang him upside down to make him
to make him taller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how quickly that works though. So I did get an extra half an inch out of removing a squat in 2016 when the weight caps were like 177 for like 5'8". I literally stopped squatting and I got an extra like half inch
that's fast
out of it. Yeah, but it took me like 2 months to decompress my spine enough to be able to do it, and a chiropractor 2 times a week. Sure enough, I did get extra height out of it. I don't know how quickly inversion tables work though to put like enough sciatic fluid into the joint capsule. I don't know.
Right. It's hard to say, but if it's just like half an inch even, it's like, fuck, you might as well try anything.
I'm just thinking, like, when you get your card, whether it's the NBC or your pro card, why don't they just measure them then and that's it?
Right.
That's your height for the rest of your career.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same thing with like scales too. I can step on 3 different scales and get 3 different weights. So it's like, why not just have one consistent one where it's like you weigh once a year and you're done?
Well, no, you had to weigh every single time that you would step on.
Wait every sorry. Yeah. Take the right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that the height should be like one and done. You're a professional. That's your height. Done. End of story. So you show up to a show, you know exactly how much you height. You don't know if you're going to be a quarter inch shorter or a quarter inch taller, because that's 7 or 10 pounds depending on the person.
Right.
How do you think they're going to do the weight classes in men's physique? I mean, how the hell is that going to work?
So if you look, the chart is unnecessary, because in the NPC, classic physique is 27.5 BMI. And the IFBB, the classic physique, is a 30 BMI. So I'm assuming that.
Oh, I never thought of it in those terms.
Yeah.
If you go through, you can take every one of them and plug them in, and that's what it is. So if you do the 20, well, it's so funny because if they just said just calculate your BMI, you have to be under a 27.5 for the NPC. You have to be under a 30 for the IFBB. But they didn't do it. They make a chart, and then no one remembers what they are, because it's so much harder to remember 100 numbers than it is to remember one number. And then with normal physique, it should probably be 26 or 25.
Yeah. Say 25.
Oh, wait, no. Because, it'll be like more like 28 or 27.5.
Yeah, it should be higher than amateur by a little bit on the classic side of it, I would assume.
Yeah.
Because he specifically said in the video it's going to be less than the classic.
Right.
So you definitely have to be lower than the classic. He didn't say that it's going to be equal to classic. He said less than classic. Yeah. So if classic in the pros is 30, that means that sub 30 is what their BMI is going to be.
I think it's a good call to do it, because some of these guys were getting monsters, or the amateur is super interesting. So they're not doing weight caps in amateur, and classic is a little bit rough. So if you have a guy that looks like an open bodybuilder, but he's straight up classic, he can do men's physique and go pro. they're not doing weights in amateur, which I'm actually happy for because it gives someone an option to do men's physique instead of open bodybuilding if they're just like, they know they're going to get outmassed in certain areas of the body, which I think is great. It is interesting that you would go pro men's physique though, and then you probably have to go into classic immediately after because you'd just be a little bit outsized for men's physique. So I think it'll be interesting how it transfers from amateur to pro. And I'd like to see them actually remove the amateur weight cap in classic and just go to pro weight cap. So if you're a pro, you can compete as a pro. That's one thing I still don't understand why they still do today.
What I don't understand is why does anyone get an IFBB card if they're not a bodybuilder? That it should be an IFP. And then once you get that card, that's what you have to do. You can't fucking go sideways and like, well, I'm not good enough to actually compete in the sport that I want to be in. So I'm going to have to compete in this other sport and then not like myself and then pretend that it's okay when it isn't. Like, wouldn't you rather be an amateur bodybuilder than a pro men's physique guy?
Not necessarily. So men's physique athlete, like the top athletes, I say like top 5, maybe even top 10. They're like pretty amazing athletes. Like if I could pick a physique and walk out onto a beach, that would be my physique.
I'm not saying you would look different. I'm not saying you would look different. I'm saying, do you want to walk on stage with the shame shorts and pose like a model, or do you want to walk out there like a man and hit bodybuilding poses?
Bodybuilding, 100%.
Yeah. So then why not just, if you're not good enough to be a pro bodybuilder, stay an amateur bodybuilder and just be an amateur bodybuilder. Have your fitness influencer in Instagram and TikTok make money and just be a successful amateur bodybuilder.
Yeah, but Todd, that's not inclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
That just doesn't make any sense to me.
To a degree, I'm not in disagreement. I really like classic division, the division.
Like for girls, there's so many divisions. They don't even have to pick one. Just show up, bring 3 suits, try them all on. The one you win is the one you should be in. But if you don't like wearing heels, don't wear heels. Do the non-heels divisions. If you are okay in heels, wear the heels. If you like turning in a circle and wearing heels, then you're doing figure. If you want to look sexy and wear heels, then you got wellness and bikini. If your idea of what feminine is compressed by the patriarchy and that heels are oppressive, then I guess you're stuck doing physique and bodybuilding. But you don't want to use gear, then do natural physique. I mean, it's so much easier. But when it comes to the dudes, it's like, well, I don't want to train legs and I want to be hot. So I'm going to do physique. It's like being physique doesn't make you hot. Being hot means you can do physique, but you could still be hot and do bodybuilding. It just doesn't make any sense. It's you either are or you're not. Like, are you big? Are you attractive?
So would the Olympia
if you're big and attractive, then there's this for you. But even if you look at like, all right, ready for this? Look at the faces of the top male pros. They're not ugly, right? Derek's a pretty marketable dude.
Big Rami's not the most attractive individual.
No, neither is Hottie, but I'm not a Middle Eastern woman, right? Maybe their beauty standards are different over there, right? Ian's a pretty good-looking guy. So they're still good-looking guys in open. It's just like, do you want to be muscular? Do you want, if you're 212, it's probably because you're short. You don't really have a choice in that. There's no fix in that one. But it's like, if it's between classic or open, Chris will still do better in open.
I agree with that.
He makes he's going to make 80 grand getting first in the Arnold, or 25 grand getting first in the Olympia, or he could get 5th in the open and get 100 grand. Fuck, he's smarter doing open. Plus he could train all year and he would look better. It's not like it's going to make his waist bigger. He's not going to blow out his lines going up to 250 or 255. He has to bust his ass eating 1,600 calories to make it down to 240. Think about how much happier he'd be if he just did open. The same thing with like some of these Aaron Banks guy. Like, I don't really know anything about the guy, but I have a feeling that if it's not a fear of doing legs, there's no rational reason to not do classic, except for he's over the weight limit for classic because he's too big for classic, but he's not big enough for open. He's doing physique. Now at this point, they put a weight limit on him, and they're like, well, now there's no reason for me not to do classic. So I might as well just do classic. Or he might be like, well, I'm not going to make the weight for either of them. Fuck it. I might as well do open. And I would rather get 10th in open than first in classic or first in 212 or first in physique. Because let's look at it this way. We know who won the Toronto Pro. Do we even know a single person who did classic or a single person that did 212? Do we know a single woman that did the Toronto Pro? No, but we know every fucking detail of Ian and Hassan's conditioning and body, and Ross, Antonio, that like the elbow of the fourth place guy in open has more publicity than the entire division of men's physique, the entire division of 212. That Ian's pec got more press coverage than every single female athlete combined. So what is the fucking point of doing anything other than open if you can get into open?
If you can get into open, that's the if.
Right.
I think
Not
some guys
everyone
just
can
don't have
hold
the
a
frame
max.
for it.
Well, that's what,
But-
like, if you look at a men's physique guy, like, I can't picture some of those men's physiques individuals to be 250 pounds. Like, I just don't see that being
Well,
possible.
let's put it this way. If the weight limit is 240 and Aaron Banks isn't doing classic because he's over it, he is 250, whether you can picture it or not, which means that if he shows up, what's his name? Patrick Moore. Patrick Moore could have been classic, but he pushed the limit and is still open. Patrick Moore got more press coverage getting 10th or something or whatever he got. He got like 10th at the Arnold. He got more press coverage than I think all the women who did the Arnold. He got more press coverage than everyone except for Aaron Banks in men's physique. So just being 10th, being the dude that's too small, getting that footnote like, oh, he was too small for the show, got more actual press coverage than the entire division of men's physique. So I would rather be a complete and abject failure as a bodybuilder than the best men's physique guy in the world.
So
Because I still get to be a bodybuilder.
That's because we're wired different, man. Like, I must be there are a ton of people that don't want to be bodybuilders.
They just say that because they can't.
I don't know if that's
That's
true
like
or not.
girls who say that Cbum's not hot. It's like
I can hear
Cbum's
myself
not hot
talking
because
back on somebody's mic.
Oh, let
On
me
the speakers.
I will say that
Is that better?
no, I think it's you, Todd. I don't even know. I just don't think Todd's on trend.
Say what?
I mean, at the end of the day, though, some of these top competitors, right? Like Chris is a classic physique champ right now. He's making a lot more money than most people in open bodybuilding on the prize pool. So the wellness athletes, they're making more money off of being influencers and being top in the world than they are in another division. Aaron Banks, off of endorsement, is making a lot more money than being number 30th open bodybuilder in the world than he is in men's physique as number one in the world. So
Hey, Todd.
Yeah.
We're getting the feedback on your end, man. I think you need to like turn down your speaker.
Yeah, so I think that it's okay. Like everyone has a different set of genetics, and I think there is a division for everyone now. I don't think there needs to be another male division at all. Like, they have everything at this point. And if they're going to make up another division, it will be like the full moon division, and they already have that in China. So,
yeah. No, I think I personally myself, like I could blast as much gear as an open competitor. I could eat as much. I would just never look that way. Never. I just couldn't. I'm 260 pounds. I would have to be like 330 pounds to even be competitive at 6'2". And it's just, I don't think it's feasible. Whereas in classic, like I can step on stage with having done a decent amount of work and being, 230, 240 pounds, being close to the weight cap and be highly competitive. And that's sort of my motive to do it. And it might not be, I don't think it's necessarily the outlook shouldn't be like, what does the group think? It's like, what does that individual feel their importance is? And that's why they do it. And so like this class I can compete in and probably get first, but if I did open, I'd compete in and probably get last. So it's like, to me, the notability is within that first place position. The notability isn't within a 6th or 7th place within open.
So I can understand the concept between wanting to do classic. What I was saying was I don't understand any reason why anyone would ever want to do men's physique unless it's because they don't have legs. So if you have legs and you can make the weight cutoff for classic, I don't see why anyone would ever want to do men's physique. There's just too much of a negative reputation, too much of a stigma attached to it.
I don't know that that's the case anymore, man. People seem to love it. It's like when I was at the New York Pro, dude, literally everybody left the room when Colin can tell you when the bodybuilders came on. They were there to watch the men's physique and classic guys.
Well, I mean, I can understand women being like that, but there's actual male fans of men's physique.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I've never met one before. That's so strange.
They walk among us, Todd.
Well, the sponsorships. Okay, so your argument about the sponsorships, Chris Bumstead would be making just as much as endorsements if he was number 5th bodybuilder in the world as if he was first in
probably
classic. That those wellness girls, the ones who make the most money, are doing terrible, and the ones that are at the top of the game aren't making as much. That it's based off of your marketability and your social media thing isn't really relative to your placing. So, and then anyway, I don't think they make that much money, but I just don't think the girls make that much money because people don't buy products from girls typically. That the endorsement just isn't there.
Well, here's the reality though, and you know this very well. Girls are more, the propensity for a female to spend money on some sort of self-help or self-health thing is much higher. If I can get a female to buy a $550 monthly program easily, where a male would be like, wow, I don't need that shit. And it's more different. It's completely different. Like a female with a 10,000 following audience that has primarily females in her audience can sell shit like fucking left and right to these bitches because they just are willing to spend money.
Well, it depends on what it is. If it's basically some scented oil that they say is going to make them thinner, sure, they'll buy it one time. But when it doesn't actually make them thinner, they're not going to keep rebuying it. Right. And then they're going to start being suspicious of that woman and not trust her anymore. So the slash and burn marketing stuff works better. But like when it comes to people looking for them for advice, it's like typically the female marketing model is show your body in as little clothes as possible, and you have a huge following. But most of those following are men who like looking at pictures of you. They're not interested in learning from you or doing anything you tell them to do. Whereas with dudes, they follow the bodybuilder that they want to be like. And sure, some of them are like, he looks like this. He says he uses this. I want to look like that. I use that. But most men are smarter than that. They follow the guys that actually teach and have actual education behind what they're saying. And they're like, this guy is honest and he's credible. And he's explaining why product A is better than product B. And it makes sense to me. So I'm going to try product A. Okay, I really like product A. It's the best one I've ever used. I'm going to keep buying product A.
I think
I think that you can market as a supplement company owner. I would be much more likely to have someone I'm going to pay for a spokesperson who's a well-spoken, educated 10th place pro bodybuilder than some first place moron or just some girl who shows her ass and tits. That would be of no use to me whatsoever. Because
you've seen it with my stuff. I'm not a pro or anything. I try to put good information out, and I've gotten tons of people following me now. It was weird as shit yesterday at the bodybuilding show. You can ask Colin, man. I was getting mobbed with people like wanting to talk to me and take pictures with me. It was so weird, man.
So what's funny about that is God, well, I was just about to say something and then I read what Chase wrote.
Can we take this into consideration, Melker fan? This podcast is full of storm deniers, even though guys like Cbum, Samson, and Chupon all say they use Red 140 during prep for a reason.
Wait, I'm confused. What
that has to be a troll. I really hope that's a troll.
I'm 99.9% sure.
Milker's a long-time commenter on on my YouTube channel, and he posts up constantly about SARMs. He's committed to the cause.
So,
Committed
I
to
think
the
that-
bit.
So
Yeah,
It's a
everybody-
good one. I laugh. He cracks me up.
And it's just like
At first I
simple-
thought he was serious, but then I don't know.
It's like if you really think SARMs are that useful, it's just like why haven't they been clinically approved for humans? I don't know. It's just like,
That's the question.
it's like
Wait a minute. You were at an amateur show yesterday. Okay,
Yeah.
at the amateur level, yes.
Pro-am.
Right, but okay, so it was the pro men's physique, but were there pro bodybuilders there?
No, just men's physique.
That's why, is because a pro men's physique guy is going to be the best thing at that show for sure.
Yeah.
So a pro men's physique guys go on. Then next is the amateur bodybuilders that starts with what, over 50 bantamweight. So yeah,
I mean, even at the New York Pro though, ask Colin, man. Didn't people left when the open guys got up? Didn't they?
Yeah.
It was really weird, man. Like there were way more people there watching Classic.
Classic was the thing most people were there to see.
right. Well, classic for sure, because it's more accessible that they're attractive dudes who are muscular rather than just muscular dudes, which may be attractive, or attractive dudes, which may be muscular. So classic is probably the best mix of both, especially from a female perspective.
I've seen some pretty ugly ass classic dudes.
Well, then there's hope for me yet.
I would love to see like incentive vision to like move up in divisions, like even for instance giving Derek an open invite, right? Something like that where they give them the time to grow into it. I would love to see that more frequently. Chris, I would love to see them somehow shift the Arnold date so he can do open bodybuilding at the Arnold.
What's
Like,
funny,
sick.
you specifically said shift up in divisions.
Yeah, shift up.
Implying that the division of open bodybuilding is above the other divisions.
It is.
Right.
It is.
So that's my whole point, is to me, and this is, I'd rather be the dumbest kid in the genius level class than the smartest kid in the retard class. Oh, I'm sorry, the R word.
But it takes time though. Like it would take time, right?
I'm gonna have to demonetize this one.
Like,
Wait, I thought it has to be 30 seconds. I thought we made it 30 seconds. Any of the what used to be 7, now this 700 words the FCC doesn't like.
Todd got my video demonetized last week. We're going for 52.
It was the Death and Beyond comment, apparently, that I said.
Yeah.
That someone, well, I can't repeat it because then I'll just get this.
We got to be careful what we say.
Okay,
that
this
one
guy
shocked
paid
me.
money for this answer. All right,
Oh, yeah.
Nandrolone mental sides overplayed. Yes, I'm on 300 tests and only 100 MPP because I hear about mental sides from higher DECA doses. I want to try NPP. Generally, emotionally vulnerable people will always have something to whine about, and then stoic people won't whine.
It was
Like-
weird with me with Nandrolone, dude. I used it for years. Like, like when I worked with you, we ran Nandrolone only cycles and high doses. I never had an issue with it until this last year. And then I started getting panic attacks running MPP. It was crazy, man. Like only in social.
happened too.
But we use DECA, not MPP, right?
No, we used MPP. I've been running MPP because I like in case I get in trouble so I can get off of it quickly.
What, in trouble with who? Like who?
No, like my like I start getting panicky and anxious, man.
Oh.
I don't know why. I don't know what changed.
Yeah.
So I was basically running Trend for a little bit, and I hadn't used it in over a year.
Trend doesn't bother me.
And I was getting mean. I was getting angry, and I was like very impatient. And I didn't snap at anyone, but I was thinking I was thinking really mean thoughts, and I didn't like being that angry. And this is from a guy who listens to death metal 100% of the time. So it's like, I would agree that Tren can make you angry, and supposedly it's because it crosses the blood-brain barrier and that it has a negative effect on your brain. It causes brain damage, and that brain damage to the amygdala is the rage or the emotional lack of control. Perhaps because Tren is the evil version of DECA, that a non-evil version of emotional instability would be anxiety, since panic attacks are kind of acute anxiety attacks.
The yin and the yang.
I myself have never noticed being anxious, but then again, I'm just not an anxious, neurotic guy. So bumping me up from the 10th percentile to the 20th percentile of the population, it isn't something even I would notice. But if somebody who's already at the 80th percentile of anxiety, you know, that they're constantly worried, like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to get found out, or I wonder if this is going to happen, or what if this, they sit around and they come up with these stories in their head of what's going to happen in the future, and they're all horror movies, then yeah, maybe then if you amplify your brain and your brain is always anxious, you're going to be more anxious.
Stand
I'm
still.
pretty-
The need
I
of
think I'm a
therapy.
pretty chill guy, though. I don't know what it like. I don't like Colin. You've been around me for a long time. Not much gets under my skin.
No,
No,
as calm as
you wouldn't be the prototypical person that Todd's talking about who already
Right. No,
suffers
not
from
at all.
anxiety, like getting bumped up to, you know, a higher degree of. But yeah,
I've always had-
at times, like I think, I don't know, like it didn't give you worse baseline anxiety, did it? Just like you had.
Oh,
like,
no, I wasn't, like,
panic
sitting around,
attacks
like-
here and there.
No, it was like social stuff. It was like
Oh.
if I was in a group of people, then I'd end up fucking having a panic attack.
Yeah.
Or not at home, because I
So-
definitely have a low level of social
I
anxiety.
didn't
don't
have anxiety with DECA personally.
Well,
Too
I
much
never did
DECA.
too.
Too much DECA did briefly affect my DICA though.
Yeah, I've had that issue too.
It has like an anxiogenic effect. I think that's pretty well established in most people. It definitely like it. Knowingly, we know it that the AR sites in the hypothalamus and amygdala and hippocampus are all affected by nandrolone pretty severely. So like that in and of itself, I mean, everyone is different, and that's kind of the problem. Is everyone will react to every drug a little bit differently in slight minutia, but I think it's fair to say that nandrolone above more androgens is affecting strictly AR within the brain, or even some off-target areas that we don't know about. So in my mind, it's like it's a clear.
Is it
What's-
because it's more lipophilic? It crosses the blood-brain barrier.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
really weird though is like I never had this issue until the last year. It's
And
just
I
been
think-
in the last year.
My theory, because I was the same. I was running nandrolone for a very long time. I did nandrolone only when I was in my youth to like save my hair, which I've figured out in other ways. But I never got anxious until I had used it for a long time. And I think it's just like progressive degeneration of maybe those brain regions. I'm not so sure, right? We don't have any data on this. It's just like throwing shit up there, but
Mm-hmm.
it's plausible.
I
It is
think
plausible.
So, Paul,
My personal
what else
experience
was
with-
different this year? Like, were you using more insulin? Were you using more sugar? Like, what were the other
No.
agents that were? Nothing was different.
No, same old, man. I've always like kind of like my off season go to has been like test either EQ or Primo and nandrolone.
So let's
That's-
unpack that. So EQ is supposed to be extremely anxiety provoking. Were you using EQ this last year instead of Primo?
No, I was using Primo.
Okay, I can't come up with anything then as to why.
I always feel
EQ is
great on
different.
EQ. I never have an issue with
Me
EQ.
too.
Yeah, I never had it. I've never been an anxious person. Even when I've had girlfriends that were calm people and they had way more anxiety than me, and there'd be something really going on that I should be concerned with. And they're like, how do you not care? How are you not upset? How are you sleeping at night? It's like, I don't know. I just don't really give a shit.
Believe me, I'm a single parent. I run businesses, and Colin can tell you, I'm putting out fires all the time. Like shit, like that doesn't even faze me at all. But you know, I don't. It's weird. I can get in front of a group of people and speak, but then like if I'm in like if I go to a wine and cheese party with my girlfriend, I don't want to be there, man. And then I've got some nandrolone on deck. I'm over in the corner having a goddamn panic attack.
That's a really high stress environment. And this is why I think so. That you're in a situation where you're supposed to behave in a certain way. Let's say you're on a podcast and you can't use any of your favorite words. And then you're in this environment where
Don't have a panic attack.
you can't be yourself. You have to play a character. You can't let a guard down. You can't let yourself leak out and slip, or you're going to get social backlash from someone who actually matters to you. It's not even the people that are prone to being offended that you care about. It's like if you're with a wine, and let's say you're going to a work function with your girlfriend, you don't want to embarrass your girlfriend with her work people, because then it hurts someone you care about, and you're going to have to listen to her bitch about it. Whereas if you were there alone and you didn't know anyone, nor were you ever going to see him again, there's way less pressure on you to behave yourself and tell people what they want to hear. Like if I had to go to the Met Gala, you know, and I had to talk to AOC and everyone else in the squad, and I have to basically make sure they like me. It's like that would be a lot of pressure because I don't have anything in common with them. I wouldn't know how to fucking talk to any of those people. But if I'm at a gym or a bodybuilding show, even though there's people, I'm totally calm because I have so much in common with the people there. It's unlikely I would offend anybody.
Yeah, I don't know what changed.
So with my personal experience, by the way, with and NPP I get a lot more side effects from, and DECA I just feel good on. And they're also a little bit molecularly different, where DECA is a progestin, whereas NPP is a natural progesterone. And I don't know if that's why I respond differently to it. I like NPP for the fact that it's just faster in, faster out, so you can pull it if you need to. But I've always been really good with DECA. And as I've gotten older, side effects of Nor19s definitely became more prevalent over time. And I just kind of keep it at minimal effective dosages. And I lean into like Test or Primo or Test or Masterone as my basis now. So that's, at least with me, my personal experience, I don't even touch NPP anymore. But DECA I have really good response to.
Why do you say that the compounds of NPP and DECA are different? I thought it's just Nandrolone with an ester. One's a phenylpropionate ester, one's a 10-member carbon ring.
Yeah, so NPP is a natural progesterone, whereas DECA is a progestin.
Well, can you define those? Like, what is the difference between natural progesterone? Are you saying that NPP isn't made in the lab?
So it's like no. They're both like synthetic hormones, like they're both compounded hormones. But NPP is a natural progesterone. So it's kind of like taking a bioidentical progesterone versus a progestin-based drug. They're both forms of progesterone, but one's synthetically modulated.
So you're saying that taking a 19 Nor and adding the DECA ester to the 17th carbon is synthetic and makes it a progestin, not a progesterone. But taking a natural progesterone, which is still the same 19 Nor, and adding a phenyl group, a phenylpropionate group to the 17th carbon, now it's still a natural progesterone, even though you've just added a functional group to it?
Yeah, from what I've read and I've researched, it is a natural progesterone, not bioidentical, but it's a natural progesterone versus a synthetically formed like progestin on the.
So that's what I guess what I don't understand. So I understand what I can chemically see the structures in my head. Neither of which occur in nature, so I don't see how either of them could be called natural. So the term natural progesterone doesn't make sense to me. That's all, especially when there's a synthetic functional group added to it in a lab.
Right. I think they're exactly the same, right? It's just the ester.
Right. The ester is the only difference. That's why one being called bioidentical doesn't make sense to me, because if supposedly pork has Nandrolone in it, so I guess we'd have to look up to see natural Nandrolone structure.
I gotta show you guys. You guys remember Vegan Randy, by the way?
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Vegan Randy has been proving me wrong. We did a short contest prep. He wanted to ask you, Kolton, what blood work that I don't know where it went to on here that you wanted to see at the end, but I got to show you guys pictures of him. Hang on. He's shocked me in what he's done. He might be proving me wrong. Let me show you guys what Vegan Randy looks like right now. Hang on.
How long was the prep?
Only like 10 weeks, man. God damn it. Let me see if it'll show. Here we go. Window. This is what he looks like now.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, let me show you. Hang on. I got another one too. What was the blood work? You said you would be curious to see some blood work at the end to see what he looked like.
Yeah, basically just the basic stuff. CBC, CMP panels. I'd like to see like his methylation, so getting like an organic acid test with ideally, oh my god, why am I forgetting what it's called? What's that marker, Todd, that is a measure of, it's a protein that's a measure of methylation?
I don't remember.
Oh fuck. Well, those tests, a GGT. I would love to see.
You're not talking about cystatin C, are you?
No. I would love to see a GGT. I would love to see a lipo protein B and A. I would. Hold on, I gotta figure out this shit. Homocysteine. Jesus Christ.
Homocysteine. Yeah.
Would be
Sorry.
great.
That makes sense.
That would be pretty conclusive for everything I would want. Oh, a C peptide would be awesome if you could get that. A C peptide and then a fasting insulin would be awesome.
Vegan Randy, man. What is he, like 155 pounds there?
No, he's like in the 180s, 190s.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
Well, is he tall, like 5'10" or something?
I don't know how tall.
Can you go back to
tall
the beginning of
Randy
that?
He's doing men's physique, by the way.
Oh.
I believe.
But he's hitting a side chest.
I think he's just showing me flexing near.
That's that test trend.
See, to me, that means that he
NASCAR
wants
right
to
there.
do bodybuilding. And so you should just fucking do bodybuilding.
Here's the question. I don't know if he's open to talking about doses, but are you willing to disclose the doses he's running?
I don't think Rand. Oh,
He
he's
just
doing
showed up
classic.
in chat. Randy's in chat.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. You care if we talk about your doses, Randy?
Because here's the question, right? Is if he has to run higher doses to get the same response as, like, let's say me running lower doses at 260 pounds, like,
I would say we've been fairly conservative.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. I haven't gone too crazy with anything.
So I actually looked up the structure
He's like, go ahead.
for
Let's
Nandrolone.
fucking do it. Transparency Podcast 101.
All right. Of course, my sheet that I keep when everybody is frozen up, not working.
Shut up. You use ChatGPT to generate that stuff.
I don't know if you can see it or not. So one of them, the one on above the word Toddly MD, the red, that's natural Nandrolone. And the one on the right of it with the big, looks like a morning star sticking out the top, that is NPP. So they've synthetically put the NPP ester onto carbon 17. So I don't see how it could be natural, because the one to the left of it is natural that does not have that structure there.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm sure you read it and they said, hey, this is a natural Nandrolone. It's like I could go to the grocery store and some of the food's labeled organic and some of the food's labeled inorganic, but it's made out of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. It's organic.
Right.
Like,
they modify
they're
the
lying.
carbon.
When they call one organic and they don't refer to the other one organic, they're full of shit. They're both organic. They're made out of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
I just texted Kurt to our local androgen specialist.
Oh yeah, we got to get Kurt on sometime.
Yeah, and he said there is no difference besides the esters. So
Okay.
Kurt's a researcher for a pharmaceutical company.
he's
So
doing his PhD on.
yeah, he's doing his PhD on androgen research.
Wait, there's a
I don't know
PhD
why
in androgen research?
Yeah,
Fuck, I better
Todd
bring
talked to
people back to school, because that's something that's actually worth
Yeah,
my time.
Kurt
Yeah,
and
go
I
do
talk
it.
all the time. He's a very, very smart guy. I got to get him on sometime. He's researching. He's done all sorts of research on trend and stuff. He's done some neat stuff.
Yeah.
he just texted me to tell us all that he loves us.
Yeah, I want to meet this Kurt person. I
Yeah,
like
so-
smart people.
So Randy, we're doing 500 tests, 500 Masteron, and then 20 mgs of Tren every other, or 20 mgs of Tren every day.
Peptides?
We are doing 4 units of GH and then 50 milligrams of Anavar.
What's his weight?
Currently, I'll tell you. Last check-in was 183.
All right, so, well, I'm sorry. He's
So
on 4
50
units of
milligrams of
GH.
Anavar?
What was his gear again?
500 tests, 500 Masteron, 20 mgs of Tren every day, and 50 mgs of Anavar with 4 units of GH.
Oh, that's a lot.
And keep in mind, we're a couple weeks out from the show, so I slowly ramp this up as we
Right.
go.
1,500 with 4 units of GH, yeah.
And he's 180.
183.
Okay.
We started off.
Good.
We started off at 200 at the beginning of prep.
So my generic recommendation is like just really rough. Like obviously you have to use the doses you have to use to get where you want to be, but it's like 13 milligrams per kilogram for a regional show is about the max I'll go with people. And for his body weight, that's like, just over 1,100 milligrams. So I mean, he is using them more than I would prescribe for a regional guy, but at the same
he's
time,
at 60. He's only 80 kilograms. No, he's 70. He's 80, 90.
he's
180
180
kilograms, right?
He's 180, so around that 2.2.
180 kilograms.
He's
82.7.
So 82.7 times 13 should be 1,000. So
1,075.
yeah. So yeah, I see what you're saying, Kolton. Yeah, he is over.
But I mean, it's not that drastic. I was just curious because, like, would he require more to get the same, like, parallel results? As, like,
I mean, that's my pretty typical cycle that I run for guys at his size for prep. Now, keep in mind, I ramp up to this. I don't start off. So we started off the cycle at just 250 test and 200 primo, and then just ramped up as we go.
Oh, he said he stopped taking the GH a few weeks ago, so he's just on androgens.
When's the show?
It is let's see, the 17th next week.
Do you have the back double of him?
I don't know that I have his current back double.
Okay. He said he sent it to you or something, but maybe not.
Yeah, I got it in here. It's an older one. It's not the most recent, but he just keeps progressing by the day. Yeah, here we go. This is last week.
Vegan plus rad equals max gains. We all know that's the secret, Paul. You put all your dudes
Are
in.
you keeping GH in with him going into the show?
Usually I drop GH like the last week.
Last week. I usually pull it 2 weeks out.
Hang on. I will pull up his this is 10 days ago though, so he's progressed since then. Let me share this one if I can get it to come up. But regardless, I mean, it's been pretty impressive that he's done this vegan, I think.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely not trying to take away from the what he's doing. It's impressive as fuck.
Yeah.
How many weeks out? You said 3?
That was last week.
See, like, why not just do classic? You've got
he is
doing classic. He is
doing classic.
I thought you said he was doing physique.
I was wrong. He's doing classic.
Yeah, fuck that. Well, you can see, like, look at how deep his lats attach too. Like this, it hasn't been developed, but his lats have a low attachment. His hamstrings are cut out. I mean, his glutes aren't in yet, but
yeah, I think we're gonna have to forego the glutes being in, but
right. I think that a lot of it might just be a lack of development, like heavy focused.
That's a good question.
Training.
What do you guys do in that scenario? Because I have a couple clients like this too, where I'm like, man, if we push further, like your upper half is shredded. This is your second or third show, right? So they're relatively fresh. But if we push further to get those glutes in, like how much are we actually sacrificing? Do you guys just leave it at that if it's too much, or?
Well,
I feel like the smaller guys, like if you got some muscle tissue to spare, you can play games with it. But like these smaller guys, it's like if you just keep pushing, they just end up sacrificing muscle, and it's just not worth it. Like I saw some dudes at the show we were at yesterday that clearly went too far to try to get shredded glutes, and they just look stringy and awful.
Right. So I came up during the era where if you don't have shredded glutes, do not show up.
Yeah.
You don't belong on the stage.
Did we see one person on the stage yesterday with shredded glutes, Colin? One. I think there was one. There was there was a classic guy that had shredded glutes, but even none of the bodybuilders.
I mean, even at the Olympia, most of the pros don't have shredded glutes. So glutes are not a priority anymore like they used to be. It used to be that it's a glute show. It's showing up without glutes is bringing a knife to a gunfight. You do not do it. At nationals, for instance, one of the times I did it, out of the 15 people in my class, 14 of them had shredded glutes.
I think it's still like that. Like with the guys that are going pro, the top 3, top 4, if you have shredded glutes, you immediately are like moved into the middle.
Right.
Almost every single time in a national show.
Right.
And there's like, I don't want to say like a glute emphasis, but there's definitely still a glute bias there. If you don't have shredded glutes, don't show up.
It's so easy just to shave people off the top. It's like a screening tool. It's like, okay, out of these 30 people, who are you going to pick? Well, who's got shredded glutes? Well, 2 guys. Okay, that's 1 and 2. You know, like, and then and it doesn't really matter because there's only 1 pro card. So it's like, all right, between the 2 guys with shredded glutes, who has a back? Okay, they both have a back. Okay, between the 2 guys with shredded glutes and backs, who's got quads? They both have quads. Okay, let's turn them back around. Between the 2 guys with shredded glutes, the backs and the quads, who has hamstrings? Okay, they both have hamstrings. Well, fuck. Okay, at that point, now we have to look at the dumb muscles that are the shoulders, the arms, the chest. Oh no, like waist size. Who's got a V taper? Who's got hamstrings, quads, glutes, and a back? It's like they both have a V taper. And then at that point, that's when you have to look at shoulders, arms, and chest.
Now, I'm really curious, when it came to judging, why do they not judge by pose? Like, and just count poses for wins?
You mean like who wins the poses? Like,
Yeah,
in other words,
because it makes it too objective and it takes away some of the subjectiveness of overall physique. I've always wondered that.
I think they do once it gets to the point where it's like, okay, these 2 guys are absolutely tied and perfect. But this guy wins 4 poses, and this guy wins 6 poses, and this guy only wins 2 poses. Then I think doing it by pose is the tiebreaker. Because I guess what your point would be is that the shredded glutes are only going to factor into 4 poses.
That's correct. But 4 poses is usually the show.
Yeah.
Todd, Paul, sorry. If I send you a picture, will you be able to pull it up on screen?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to send you a picture of me. This is like, I don't know. This is like 2 weeks post show. And I was fucking shredded. But what I got, this is at a regional show, mind you. And I got told that I was too lean. So like I got told that I was basically too lean to not too lean, but too small. Like I sacrificed too much of my mass to be this lean. And I was by far the leanest guy on stage.
You mean flat? You were flat?
I don't think I was flat. I think it was just that I was smaller than the guy ahead of me who was not in condition at all. Like this is kind of the weird thing, like at all.
Were you bodybuilding or classic?
Classic. And so what I'm seeing is there's like this shift from that. Like it's not even about being shredded, because I think what happens is like people see that as kind of gross now, and it's not as much, oh, like this is hard work. It's like, this is gross. Let's look at the guy who looks more pretty in a picture.
I think the prioritization was put on fullness over dryness. Maybe, I think that's true. But you should get, wow, your glutes are cut in. What the fuck?
I get lean, man. Like I don't fuck around. And that was 2 weeks post show. And like, I was fucking shredded compared to everyone. And I got like put in 3rd place, like right away.
All right.
Immediately after the show, they're like, you went too lean. And I'm like,
well, I think you look better now, man.
You look flat. So, I mean, you look flat. Now, does that mean that you never had the muscle in the first place?
Right.
I doubt it, but it's like your upper body just looks pretty normal with the low body fat. Your lower body is shredded. You've got cut out hamstrings. You've got veins on your hamstrings, but your total mass on a 1 to 10 scale would be like a 0 for bodybuilding, right? Because you don't have any symmetry anymore. You lost so much mass, it's now affected your symmetry too.
I see.
So like to me, mass is a means to the end, and the end is symmetry. So whereas people are like, oh, Todd likes mass monsters. I don't like mass monsters. I just think that everyone looks better when they're over the classic limit. Like Neil Curry looked better at 240 than he did at 215 is a perfect example. I like symmetrical, aesthetically pleasing physiques. But to me, the more mass, the better, assuming you're not fucking up your lines and blowing out your waist. So people like Keon or Neil Curry are like the best physiques in the world because they haven't blown out the waist. People like Regan, who has a great shape, but his waist is a little bit too big now, has overshot it. That adding mass was at the expense of symmetry.
Have you guys seen Samson Dauda recently?
He looks
His
he looks
recent
amazing.
Over 300 pounds now.
325. We check this shit out, man. I got to show people this. This is ridiculous. We saw him at the New York Pro, and he was the biggest guy there. I mean, not to take anything away from Rami, it was cool meeting him, but I mean, he was just fucking enormous. He's 325, and look at his condition at
Jesus
325.
Crazy.
So, like right
Insane.
there, what I'm seeing is a lot of shape. His waist looks a little big, but he's off season. And
I mean,
like this is a perfect example of no glutes, right? Is like, yeah, he would win anything because he's like a 10 size, a 10 symmetry, and he has maybe like here like a 4 conditioning, but this is his off season. So that's 34, that's 24 points out of a possible 30. Where let's say, now not to hurt, be a dick, Kolton, but like comparatively, if you had a 10 in conditioning and you had like a 1 size and a 1 symmetry, you'd have 12 points.
No, yeah, agreeable. But this is a regional level show, and I
know I'm not trying to say that you.
And I did over diet, to be completely fair, but that's just my psyche is like I will do that. But I see what you're saying, absolutely. And now I'm like, this is different, right? Because I'm 260 pounds. Back then I was 200 pounds. So it's like.
So I think the trick is at some point you introduce diet breaks.
Right.
And at J3U, I think episodes 1, 2, 3, one of those Dr. Israel's on, and he talks about his diet break procedures. And the diet break, when coupled with the deload, allows you to wash off the fatigue, reload glycogen supplies, and then proceed with more dieting to pull off more fat without losing more muscle. Right. Now, of course, once you start getting below 10% body fat, there might be a risk of muscle loss. Lyle McDonald talks about it in his book, The Woman Book, which is funny because he has to compare the woman to the man because the man's the established. That's what people know. So I learned a lot about Lyle's approach, and he actually basically reinvents the wheel with Dan Duchesne's magnum opus diet by saying that if a diet break is as short as 2 days, you get the effects. Although he hypothesizes that doing it every 100 hours or every 4 days, 1 day of reload should be the equivalent effect, which is what Jay Cutler did. And it's what I've been doing for a long time, which having a carb reload every 4 days, because that's when the thyroid starts to detect a decrease in calories. So if you can spike the calorie count so you have a high day at least every 4 days, then your body thinks your metabolism is running at that higher value. So go back to you. What happened? Did you lose gym performance like 8 weeks out and you just kept pushing it without carbs?
I'm just a psychopath, man. Like if I'm told to do an hour of cardio, I'll do like an hour and 20. Or if I'm not told to like, go have a hamburger, I'll be like, oh, fuck that. I'm just going to eat chicken and rice. Like it's just like the weird kind of thing about me.
So you didn't do what Blue told you to when you lost muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So had you reloaded correctly and had you not over cardioed, you probably would have retained the muscle but still lost the fat.
Probably, but to be fair, I was so much less developed than I am now. So it was kind of
yeah, of course. Okay, it's a different situation, but so it wasn't like Blue didn't have a plan to reload you.
I was in the last 3 weeks, I was eating like 600 grams of carbs a day plus a burger every night.
So he took 3 weeks to reload you and it just didn't take, huh?
Yeah, right.
All right. So then, in other words, the muscle was just gone. Kind of like what they say happened with James Hollingshead and P-Tor.
Yeah.
Is that P-Tor drove him into the ground. And they say things like sometimes when you're flat so long, you become permanently flat. And I'm like, what is this, baby talk? I was like, what the fuck? It's like glycogen to the point to where you're burning muscle tissue to get gluconeogenesis. Yeah. Whereas if you kept your glycogen tanks maybe 25 to 50% full, you have less amino acid breakdown. I think I read somewhere that once your glycogen levels get down to 75%, it isn't just glycogen that you're burning. You start burning amino acids too.
Yeah.
Your body starts preserving fat and glycogen at the expense of muscle tissue. So, staying now, perhaps growth hormone and anabolics is a buffer against that 75%, because when I started bodybuilding, the belief was you had to deplete your body of 100% of the glycogen before you would burn any fat. So your body ran on purely carbs. And then once the carbs are gone, your body runs on purely fat. And only once all the fat's gone, your body runs on amino acids, which is completely bullshit. And I don't know where these idiots come up with this stuff. But this is the way we were taught. And that if you're on trend, you're safe. And that you can do 3 hours of cardio on 0 carbs, 3 hours.
Well, I know that isn't true.
Yeah.
You saw how I wasted away.
But
and I was running more trend.
In that instance, there was T3 implemented.
Yeah.
And so I think when you have T3 without T4, and you have, then that is a more catabolic environment than any amount of anti-catabolic androgens can protect you against.
So Todd, I have 2 questions for you. So you brought up the 4 days and glycogen reload. From what I've seen recently, and I've been doing this for like a year and a half now, every approximately 5 to 6 days, I do a 2-day refeed. So I would take what a 1-day refeed is and I space it into 2 days, because it seems like ghrelin response actually stays lower when you do 2 days. And I just naturally found this out. And I think they just released a study last year or the year before that. And they actually showed that 2 days in a row of eating carbs. So it basically also helps with the thyroid as well.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I naturally kind of fell into as a tendency. And everyone's a little bit different on like when they need it, because you don't want them to get too deep in the hole.
Right.
I'm
So
sure
I think
you've taken that approach.
It was exactly what you said. I think Israel quoted that study too. Before that, Lyle McDonald found it before it was popular. And then it was basically you do maintenance on day 5, let's say, and then you do 80% of maintenance on day 6. And then you go back to your normal, which is actually 80% sounds too much. So like, yeah, you probably go back to your normal cutting, which is like 70% of maintenance or something like that. So you have like a high day, medium day, and then you go back to your low days for 5 low days, then 1 high day, then 1 medium day. And that Justin Harris's trick of super compensation of you go over your maintenance on a high day, although it makes sense on paper, Justin's the only person I know that advocates that, because I believe everyone else is used to so much metabolic downregulation by that point that if you go over your maintenance, you're actually going way over maintenance, because maintenance isn't maintenance anymore. Maintenance now is over maintenance. So for instance, if your maintenance is 4,000 calories, you wouldn't go 2,400 for 5 days, 4,000, 3,600. You would go, if you did that, if you did 4,000, that's over. Like I think with Justin, we used to do 5,000 as the high day. And I think that would have been too much.
On my last prep with him, he had me the last month, he had me do unlimited high days on he told me to eat as much as I could eat. At least 1,500 grams of carbs, what he wanted me getting in on my high days.
No, I guess I don't know if that's because you're 280 pounds and that because you have more muscle and you were leaner, it worked better.
And I was still losing weight.
But I will say that I had good progress doing, which I kind of modified it because I didn't take my rest days. So I didn't have low days when I worked with Justin. So I had medium, high, medium, high, medium, high. And it was basically like 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 5,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 5,000. And I lost weight about the same rate as I was losing in this most recent prep, which was approximately 3,000 every day with no high days. It was, let me rephrase that. The training days were 3,000. The non-training days were 2,400. So it was like 3, 2.5, 3, 2.5, 3, 2.5.
Have you read?
No point. And then like last night, I went to this Roto sushi place, like where there's a conveyor belt.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And then a robot brings you your water, which is cool, but it was like really expensive because you don't really keep track of how much you're eating. You just keep eating. And I ended up eating 18 plates worth of sushi, so I thought I was only going in there for a normal meal, but I overshot a lot. Last night, I woke up drenched in sweat, which makes me think that there is a lot of metabolic downregulation from having no real high days for the last 11 weeks.
Yes. Yeah, I've also found the use of T3 and T4 being needed a lot less when you take that approach as well.
Oh,
And
for
in
sure.
fact, I've seen it hindering physiques more than less. And also, you can diet harder without having the sacrifice of the physique almost every single time. Like the physique doesn't go to get us flat, not as hard to fill into a show either. For instance, like the 3 weeks, that definitely would have filled you out. Like, I don't know if you had T3 or T4 involved, but I've just seen the muscle tissue being able to expand a lot slower with T3 and T4 involved.
Oh, for sure.
I used no T3 last year, and I was better for it.
I
Although
only
I've
use
had
12.5 micrograms. I think people go way overboard.
I was using 12.5 this time through. I was using 50 T4 and 12.5 T3.
Well, that conversation we had before, where you were talking about the way Trent has the effect on TSH, it probably makes more sense to use T4, correct?
And it was TBG. It decreases TBG.
Okay.
So here's the problem with that is if your calories are low, like what we're talking about, then you get the reverse enzyme, the DI3 pathway that converts it into reverse T3. So if you're running just Tren and T4, you'll get reverse T3 if you're calorie deficit. That's why it's so important to be doing the thyroid spikes either the 2 days in a row at the end of the week or every 4 days eating a maintenance calories. So next time around, I probably won't try the old school approach, which is just a static low calorie amount, but to actually have one high day being 4,000 or something at least every 4 or 5 days, even if that means that I have to crush it on the lower days.
Have you read Dr. Mike's diet book, The Renaissance Diet?
I haven't read the book. I watched the advanced lecture series. I think of quite a few of the diet videos, but I haven't watched all of them.
The book's really good. So is his book on training. His book on training.
I watched the advanced lecture series that was the advanced version of the book, and I watched at extreme detail. And
yeah, I went through and watched it a couple times. Yeah, it pairs really well with the book. All right, let's.
You want to do a couple of rate my physiques?
Yes.
Hang on 1 second. Let me get
no.
MC in here.
Sorry.
He paid, so we.
If somebody doesn't want,
I thought you already did that one.
No.
Sorry, MC.
No, I've never experienced that.
Does Cardarine make you flat?
No, I honestly have never really experienced much of improvements with anything with Cardarine. It's kind of like a waste of money, in my opinion. Like you might as well buy Telmisartan.
Yeah, plus aren't there some studies that show that there might be a correlation between Cardarine and increased rates of cancer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I never got approved.
Yeah. So that would concern me, especially since I've had cancer. So,
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I don't know. I just there are better options, I think.
Yeah, I would lean in Telmisartan also. I took Cardarine though, and it gave me an amazing endurance boost. But I only did like 10 milligrams. I think most people are doing like 20 milligrams or more.
Mm-hmm.
And the research is so predominantly against Cardarine for speeding up heart disease that it's not even worth it, even though it's in rats. But it never made it to human research, anyways.
We used it in the Army before tests. That's all I remember, but never it was effective.
Oh, so we have some rate my physiques, Colin.
Yeah, let me just bring them up here. We had.
Do you guys see any point to going over 40 Telmisartan? Like, do you
I'm
think
running 80?
You do. So there is a benefit to more. I for some reason thought that it has a ceiling benefit at 40, like not on blood pressure. It scales with blood pressure, but for non-blood pressure effects.
My blood pressure runs high. I need 80 to bring my blood pressure in line. It seems to me that lisinopril is better for bringing my blood pressure down than Telmisartan is. I've run both. I've also messed around with amlodipine as well, calcium channel blocker. But I don't know. I don't know if it has much of an effect for me.
When you were asking that question, were you talking about potentially potassium serum levels? Is that what you're referring to when you talk about increasing after 40 milligrams?
I do know you have to watch potassium with Telmisartan. You can get hyperkalemia from it, correct?
So it levels back out. Look, so it spikes up and it comes back down. So you get a potassium serum increase, then it kind of comes back down and it levels back out.
I have seen
However,
people with high potassium on their blood panels that have been running Telmisartan.
It'll still increase serum levels to a degree, but it does level back out. It doesn't come back down to baseline. It stays above baseline, but it doesn't stay like sky high. But it does spike in the beginning, and then it comes back down and levels back out.
I would
that I've seen.
I would think at the end of prep, when you're using, or some people use potassium sparing diuretics, that might not be smart.
Yeah, that's where it gets dangerous.
All right, where are these Rate My Physiques, Colin?
I put them in the private chat there. Their Instagram handles.
Yeah, I think
probably the easiest way to bring them up on the stream, right?
Hyperdrive Hypertrophy is my client.
Oh, cool.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
cool. I'll see if I can find him.
He's an Australian fella.
How many clients do you have, Kolton?
Well, I have a whole company, so I'm not coaching everybody, but it's like, I think we're at like 170 something right now.
Jesus,
that's awesome, man.
Thank you.
And all of them are paying $550 a month.
No, some of them are, depending on what programs they buy. I have like different options and variants of programs for different.
Yeah, I'm about the same right now. I'm somewhere between 160 and 170.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm doing it all myself.
Yeah, I don't know how you're doing that.
I don't know how you're doing that.
But the 12 hours.
And you're only charging $250 a month, right?
250.
Yeah, you need to like double your prices, dude.
Yeah.
It's every time I post a result from a contest prepper before and after, I get like a flood. I'm almost scared to like post them on social media. People are like, well, how come you haven't been posting much on social media anymore? And it's like every time I put something up, I get like coaching inquiries I can't handle.
Increase your rates?
I just did. I just went up to 250 from 175.
Dude,
you were at 175?
Yeah.
Paul, industry standards between 400 to 600 a month for knowledgeable coaches.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I charge $3,000 for a year, which is about $250 a month. But with that type of commitment, you get a more serious person.
Yeah.
Plus, they have the resources to actually do it.
And like just the common sense there is it increases your bandwidth. Like you could take half the clients and make just as much.
Right.
Oh yeah, believe me, I know the scaling part of it. So
yeah.
At some point I need that.
And people will pay it. Like your audience, people will pay it. Like your shit. So.
All right, let's bring this dude up. I don't know what pictures he wants us to show. You can guide us through, Kolton. Let's see here. Let's see what he's got.
I haven't even seen his profile. Well, I've seen it sometimes.
Adam Bradshaw.
The biggest thing I noticed on him is he's got like open bodybuilder level upper body genetics, but his lower half is just in need of work. Like his quads, they're big, but they just don't have that sweeping effect. And then his hamstrings, or his just in general, his posterior chain needs a bit of help as well.
He looks like a young guy.
Yeah, he's relatively young. That's him right now.
So what's the rep range he does his quads in?
12 to 20-ish.
Okay.
Depending on the movement.
Yeah, he's got a big frame. He's definitely a bodybuilder.
He looks like he stands wide when he squats. Does he stand wide when he squats?
He hasn't sent me squatting videos yet, so I don't know.
So that's what I would think is he not deadlifting?
No, he is. Well, stiff leg, like RDL stiff leg.
Okay, that's because I mean he's doing the right exercise for that. Let's see this here. Okay, so I see what you mean. In video, he looks way bigger than he does in picture.
Right. I think
so. He goes slow on this, but he goes ultra fast on his leg press and his deadlifts.
Right.
That might be part of the problem.
It's hard to pinpoint what his lacking feature is because this individual is very meticulous with training, but I think it might be like an over pontification of training and not just as much of like we got to get in there and fuck shit up.
Hogwash. There's no such thing as over.
Whoa! Watch your profanity.
That is nonsense. That first of all, when he poses, if he throws his hips back, that'll help with his.
Yeah, it'll pop those adductors out.
And I think that if he takes his leg press and his deadlifts as slow as he was taking the calves and the adductors, then he would probably see better results. Is he tall or something? Like, is he 5'11"?
Yeah, he's around there. I think he's 5'10".
That might be part of it. So I see what you're saying is he's got thick quads. He just has no sweep.
No
he might have a
sweep,
tight IT band. You know, like if he's a power lifter, he's going to roll his eyes at this advice because he already knows this. But see, look how slow that is. He's got these super slow eccentrics, but he's doing the deadlift, but he did his leg presses like it's a demon drop. And I think that's a big part of it. And
because he's losing that tension.
Yeah,
you know what? You know what I would tell a client like him? Just get bigger.
And with his leg press, where it looked like he was getting all teardrop with that leg press, it didn't look like he was getting any sweep with it. So I think,
would you have him? Because what I told him is a little bit different, but I'm curious, what would you have told him on that leg press as far as?
So his toes were out 25 degrees, which it's weird. Like if I go straight up and down, I get no lateral quad, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I go 45 degrees out, I get all adductor. If I go 15 degrees out and I push my foot laterally, but through the heel and push with my big toe, then I can hit my teardrop. I think the problem is when you push laterally, you don't push with your big toe anymore, and you start to feel it in your knee and your hip. But if you push with the big toe while pushing laterally, keeping the heel in contact and wearing squat shoes, then you get the sweep if you're going light enough that the other muscles aren't engaging.
And that's exactly what I told him.
In order to do that and make it anabolic is going slower than that.
I told him exactly, like pressing that big toe
in. Look at how slow that is. And then the other thing was fast as fuck.
Yeah.
I've just got, honestly, I have kind of given up on leg presses. I don't even like doing them anymore. I've gone almost exclusively for my legs, like for quad movements, almost exclusively leg extension hack squats, and then either sissy squats or Bulgarian split squats.
I like both of those.
Yeah, I love all those. I like the pendulum squat more than the hack. And I like the belt squat more than anything at this point.
We do use the pendulum squat, and we used to do. I would love to use the belt squat for goblet squats or something like that. But somebody's always on it in our gym, man. You can't get on it.
Walk up and say, "I'm working in with you."
Yeah, do the Todd method.
So Todd,
remove the illusion of options. Like this is happening.
Your cues for sweeps were really interesting, by the way. So I find the same thing. It's like 10 to 15 degrees on the toe. And then if you grab your toes like a monkey, it forms it. Yeah, exactly. It forms an arch, and then it puts it straight onto the sweep. And that's for any type of squat movement, any type of leg press. And it puts like the tension right there, and it protects the knee too. So
yeah, I found that when I'm having knee issues, I'm like, okay, where are my contact points? I should have A, B, C. And in order to get that contact point, I have to fire this toe. And I need to be like this. I can't be like this. I can't be like that.
Everyone's curling their toes right now.
Where the heel lines up with the big toe so that the middle of the foot is out at 15 degrees, but the big toe is actually straight up and down.
Right.
Got a question here from Shaun Turner. Prior to dieting for 14 weeks, I started 100 micrograms of T4. Previous blood work had my TSH at 2.2. 14 weeks later, after losing 30 pounds, my TH level 0.028. Should I be concerned?
No, the reason why you took the T4, which is going to mean you have it, so your TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, isn't necessary, so your body stopped making it because you're taking the thyroid hormone.
Just like testosterone shuts down when you inject testosterone, your TSH will start to get a little bit lower as you take more thyroid hormone.
Well, the analogy would actually be the LH, right?
LH,
right.
Cool. You guys want to do another rate my physique?
Yeah, I'll bring it up. We got Chris Cashman here.
Wait, we didn't really rate that last guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess we sort of got. We were just talking. Yeah,
I think he's got a decent physique. He just needs to get bigger if he wants to compete in bodybuilding.
I think he wants to do classic, but I told him you're more of a.
He doesn't have a have a classic frame.
Yeah,
he's got a big frame, man. He's like going to be at the top of the weight class and not look right.
Right.
I would think. I don't know. I mean, that's what I tell people. You got to have a narrow waist and wide shoulder, like those bird bones. I don't know how to describe it. It's like I had a client of mine this weekend compete, and he was going to do classic, and I'm like, dude, you're a bodybuilder. he was 8 pounds over.
It's a hard conversation to have, but some people just aren't like built that way.
I mean, he'll if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to be a great bodybuilder.
Yeah, like he's got great chest, arms, like shit's going in the right direction. I'd give him like I don't know, how do you want to rate this? Like a 10?
I don't like the 1 through 10. I just like, what you need to work on, and I think he just needs to get bigger.
Constructive criticism only.
Get bigger.
No ratings.
We'll work on Todd's method with the quads.
I don't see any like major deficiencies. Like Todd said, you need some shape in your legs, but I don't know. I like I just go back to Dante Trudell trained me when I was in my my 20s, and I'll never forget him. He's like, the way to make a body part look better, put on 20 pounds. I mean, it's just
get bigger.
Just get bigger, man. At some point, there is that.
Well, I think in this individual's case, he has big quads. Just like he just had big teardrop, big rectus, very little lateral head, and I've had that same problem.
Yeah,
so
it could be shit posing too, though, couldn't it?
Well, yes, hips weren't back. His hips not being back fucks his lateral quad a lot.
Right.
All right, this is Chris Cashman. Let's see here. I've talked to Chris occasionally.
Is he one of our clients? Or
here's a perfect example. We got a lot of sweep, but not a lot of quad.
This is a good classic physique. I mean, he needs that.
Yeah, that is a classic physique right there.
He's got a good vacuum, good lat spread. His bicep peak is a little low relative to his anterior delt. He needs to bring the elbows up a little bit.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that's
He's
nice.
Sticking his butt out, I think, rather than squeezing it.
Yeah,
but he's got thick back, man.
Yeah, those are good inserts too.
You got really good.
That's if you want to know what a classic physique looks like. Yeah. That's a classic frame right there.
Yeah, like his shoulders are out further than his. It's just
you see what I'm talking about? The narrow waist and the wide.
Like if we were to take a ruler and put it at his shoulder and down, there would be like 5 inches from where his shoulder is to where his hip is. And on the other dude, Brad,
I mean, you can see the line right here, like his waist.
Right. It's crazy.
Is like where his lace comes in. It's like right here at the inside of his So it's almost at his traps.
That was a small waist.
Yeah, he needs to work on this pose. I don't think there's an issue with the.
He's in good conditions.
Yeah, you can see the shreds in his glutes. Yeah,
definitely needs adductors. There, I like how he's posing better as glutes because you can actually.
Yeah, so he had shredded glutes that whole time, and he just wasn't squeezing.
Yeah. I think he's pushing them too far forward now, but maybe like a nice in between to pull out those adductors a little bit more would be good.
Work on that pose a little bit. He's making himself look small.
Yeah, he's curling over his shoulders. He's keeling over, kind of like hunching his back.
Yeah.
But I think
it looks like a good meal.
I think
I don't know if this is current. This is probably more current.
6 weeks into post-show rebound, that's current.
I'd be hitting adductors like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely needs some adductors. Most people do not train. He's still got shredded glutes, man.
He needs more rector development also.
Yeah.
Like banded hyperextensions would be really good.
Honestly,
God,
I don't know what
small that waist is.
I mean, so why waste the time on the hyperextensions when you could just do like a hip hinge and hit the lower back and the glutes and the hamstrings?
I do not like that pose, the way he's doing the pose. It's making himself look small.
To be honest, I'd be doing both.
And then the other thing is also like bent rows to me are a lower back and an upper back and a lat exercise. So if we're trying to put mass on, to me, start with compounds and then fill in gaps with isolations. Absolutely. So it's not like I don't disagree with you. I mean, it's not like I disagree with you that hypers are great for lower back. I just don't think they're the best thing for lower back because it's almost impossible to heavily load that.
Yeah, it just for feeder volume in there, honestly. But definitely.
You know what made my erectors bigger than anything, man? I don't do deadlifts. I don't do hyperextensions or anything. It's just some good old fashioned fucking barbell rows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just holding on to the damn bar.
Yeah, I'd say that guy needs to work on his adductors, is just posterior chain, lower half posterior, and then upper back is like fucking like you can lower volume probably and just hit maintenance for like a fat minute and work on your chest, biceps, and adductors like hardcore.
I mean,
like,
he's got
insane
the perfect physique for classic. I would say work on your posing though, man.
I thought
That
his
posing-
symmetry was pretty much perfect. I just, obviously, because I like bodybuilding, I'd want to see everything bigger.
You know what amazes me? We were at the show this weekend. Is how many dudes get up on the stage at amateur shows and don't know how to fucking pose.
Not a clue.
It's horrible.
Not a fucking, never watched a video. They don't even videotape themselves, watch it, and then look at a video of someone who's posing correctly and say, and they don't realize, I have no idea how to pose. Like they don't have an idea that they don't have an idea how to pose.
That's right.
I've
yeah.
had
Don't know what you
clients
don't know.
do astronomical amounts of work, get in amazing conditioning, have amazing bodies, and then step on stage and shit all over the place. Like just ruin all the hard work because they
This was this
pose.
Cashman kid. That's one of Justin's clients. I remember Justin talking about him. Yeah.
I understand the idea that like you're not a good poser. You know, you could be a bad poser, but at least be able to be in the mandatory eventually, not shake and fire all the correct muscles. Like Ian's considered to be a terrible poser. So like if you aren't as good as Ian Valieri, then you definitely need to hire a coach. Like if people are spending money on a regular coach, why are they not spending money on a posing coach? The posing's the hard part.
And
I-
usually, like posing seminars are free too. Like the promoters will host posing seminars where you can fucking go and just posing and not having any experienced individuals there is so much more helpful. Because I would rather see someone do a halfway pose that's confident than like someone do a shit pose that's also shitty confidence.
Well, yeah,
I mean, USA's in the overall for men's physique, I saw literally 2 people miss pro cards because they couldn't hold their poses long enough, and it's literally 2 poses.
See,
Like
that
I saw
breaks
2
my
people
heart.
miss their pro card. They had a pro card and lost their pro cards. By the
That's
time they got
brutal.
Yeah, that breaks my heart. It's just like, come on.
Yeah,
You
a lot
do
of
all the work in the
people.
world.
We see that
There's
mentality at
posing
play. I
men's
feel.
physique.
What did you
We
say, Todd?
saw when we were at the New York Pro, like I'll give you an example of somebody who can pose that wasn't that big but just looked fucking beautiful on stage was Michael Daboul. That guy, like he I think he said he was only 199 on stage and he won the whole classic division and he looked amazing, man. And he was cramping up too and battled through it. You could see him battling through it.
Yeah.
Intense.
I love that dude's physique. You guys know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'll pull him up, but man, he's
Wait, is that the guy that won the show at New York Pro?
he won the classic.
Oh, that dude always looks like he's cramping on stage. He's always shaking on stage.
I mean, he
every
was
single time.
shredded, man.
He's healed.
He's using something.
Healed.
Hang on, I'll pull him up. But yeah, Chris is one of Justin's clients, if I remember. But Chris, you look great, man. You have a fantastic physique for classic. I would say just from looking at things, I would say you need to work on your posing though. I think you could probably fix a lot of your because I think Justin said he was disappointed with his placement at his show. He couldn't figure out why he didn't place higher. That might be why.
Might be posing.
Which are we talking about the same kid? The one who was
Yeah, the one we
was
just
not squeezing his glutes in the one,
Yeah.
squeezing his glutes in the other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean that may be
perfect glutes, like perfect, and then you would never know.
yeah. This is
This
my goal.
is crazy. He's always fucking shredded too, like just dry as hell.
Now, how tall is he?
5'9".
So he's 5'9", 199.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he looks incredible.
I mean, he looked ridiculous when we were there. It was just crazy. Look, check this out, man. You want to talk about shredded?
Wow.
Cat is really shredded.
fuck.
Holy shit.
Jesus.
Holy
fucking
shit.
Yeah, I remember seeing his picture surfacing last year, and I had no clue who the dude was. He comes in.
Look at that, man.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there he goes with the shakes. Like he's not even completely dried out yet either.
Right. He's just doing a really intense
Yeah, here he
protocol.
was.
And it's so funny. He looks so much less conditioned on stage with the lighting.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that was the same day, man.
It's crazy how shitty stage lighting is compared to back any other lighting. It's like they find the worst lighting possible.
Well, that they were having issues with the lighting the whole day there at the New York Pro. It was there was like a giant chandelier right in the middle of the goddamn stage, and I don't think they could figure out how to turn it off or something. I don't know what the hell was going on.
Did someone Photoshop board shorts on him?
Yeah, I saw that. Like, this is so much better.
That's awesome.
Is that photoshopped?
Yeah, it's photoshopped.
Or is it just his?
No, his front relax is that pose. So someone just took it and
It's a good shop.
I mean, that just shows you how ridiculous the men's classic physique guys
that's a
are.
good point, because he doesn't look out like his mass isn't like, oh, he's too big. It looks like what normal guys are looking like.
Yeah, but man, that dude was like the pictures. Just like seeing him in person don't do justice to how
I can't imagine what that looks like.
Shredded that guy was, man. That was probably the most shredded I've ever seen anybody in person, man. I mean, I just never had seen.
Wow.
So for me to date, the most shredded guy I've ever seen in person was Shaun Clarida. He gets so grainy.
We saw him.
Kissimmee Gym. It was like 2 days out from the Olympia, and I was perplexed by two things. One, how short he was. Two, how
he is short.
He came in with like a hood over his head and like just this huge like whole gasped outfit on, and it looked like he was kind of like one of those things from Star Wars, those, like Ewoks or whatever.
Jawa.
Yeah, Jawa. Just like walking over to like.
He looks like he fucking a dwarf who stepped out from Dungeons and Dragons into real life. Like he's as wide as he is tall, like legitimately, and like he's just like built like a brick shithouse. It's the coolest thing. He's like, I don't know, like just size for inch of height. Like he's one of the largest men on the planet.
Yeah,
yeah, I know.
If that makes sense.
You guys like math, or Paul does?
That's a great opener, dude. I use that next time. Next time you go to a party,
Go to a
just
bar,
like introduce yourself before you even say your name to a new group of people. Like, hey, you guys like math? That's great. Yeah, no, I do totally. Let's go. Hit me with some math.
So it's like we could just look up his BMI right now and then compare it to Big Rami's, and I'm sure his BMI is higher than Rami's.
There you go. Yeah, I'd have to agree.
He was like, the two most impressive human beings I saw there at the New York Pro in person were Shaun Clarida and Samson Dauda. Samson was, Jesus Christ,
without a doubt.
I want to see.
So if Shaun is 5'1" and 215 in the off season, and Samson is 6 foot and 330.
Samson's 5'11" actually.
5'11" and 330. Yep. Let's look up this BMI, because I think Nick Walker has them both beat. Nick Walker's got like a 45 BMI at 300 pounds and 5'7".
Nick's huge. So I had Nick actually winning the Arnold when I was there in person. Nick was so on, like he looked insane.
That was a tough show.
And I even think Shaun could have ended up higher up too.
Yeah.
And then Remy at the night show looked amazing.
I agree with that. Andrew Jacked just posted some recent updates, and he's looking like a monstrosity as well now too. Like, he was obviously nice before, but now he's like actually adding size and he's staying super lean. I'm very curious to see what he looks like when he steps on again. It's gonna be fascinating.
Find him. He's there's something a little weird about his physique to me.
He's like missing something. I can't really. I don't know if it's arms, because like his arms kind of when he does that front double, it's like he's missing some part of it, or there's like too much of a gap between here and here. I don't really know.
So to answer Daddy Longlegg's question, is like, no, you're not supposed to feel anything.
The question was first cycle using longer esters 5 weeks in. I don't feel any different. Is that to be expected?
No real added strength. Train harder, buddy. Calories are king.
No, it's just it doesn't make you stronger. It doesn't make you high. It doesn't make you feel like a man.
Are you
make your dick bigger?
My
it
question
just makes
is
you recover from hard workouts faster. So
I want to know like what he's eating and how often.
Right, calories are king. Like, calories are going to make the most dramatic shift in your physique and strength out of anything that you put in, any variable.
Colin, what do I always say about being on?
Yeah, this is very true. You don't know that you're on until you're off,
Right.
That's true.
right?
That is true.
Yeah, you don't feel any different now, but if you were to, like, talk to me like a month or two down the line, if you just like stopped all of a sudden,
then you'll know
like,
you're on.
you know you're on. You'll be like, what are these aches and pains? Is this
Everything
what
starts
mortality feels like?
hurting.
I didn't ask for this.
You lose weight and get softer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think that's why like people fall in love with trend so much, because it's like you're on trend. Like they mistake side effects for effects.
I think that, D-ball as well. Some people fall into that.
That's a perfect example. Is
look at
the
that.
worse you feel, the more the steroids are working. Is what they think.
Right.
Wow, he got thick.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's fucking insane, man. Like he looks like he could be in a fucking sports magazine because he's got that shape.
But like these off-season looks these days are so good.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Like it's like they diet down for the show and just lose size. They don't actually get any leaner because the lighting's so bad on stage.
Jesus Christ!
They can just use gym lighting, and
somebody drew him from a comic book into existence.
Literally.
Like, what the fuck? That is unreal.
He's over 6 foot, right?
So that's like 10% body fat probably right now.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Like he's so lean.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's perplexing. I wish he would have gotten
a film of water on him.
Look how low those lats insert. Holy shit.
The only thing he needs to work on is his back, man. His back and those hamstrings. And
what's his weight at?
Let's see. It doesn't.
So Kolton, you were saying something was missing about his physique.
Yeah.
And maybe the high lat inserts throws it off a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think it's mainly the sweep.
His quad sweep.
His lats were nice and low and thick when he hit this back pose.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
See, like he has big adductors, but his sweeps aren't really that big.
It kind of makes his waist look bigger when he does a front double like that.
When he does the offset, the angle, I think it looks good.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying about the back thickness. Yeah, maybe back thickness.
Yeah.
But if you watch these lats right here, watch. This is going to be pretty low.
That looks good.
Yeah. Like again, here, right here, he doesn't even arch back much. I see what you're saying. Yeah. He could have more lats, more just back thickness and width. So, back.
Is that Bonac helping him?
Yeah.
But his triceps are amazing. His delts are amazing. His chest is amazing. His abs are amazing. His adductors are amazing. So I can see what you're saying about the quads.
Yeah.
So
and I think it's just because his physique is so complete. Like he looks beautiful, like every single pose. And it's like the only two things that you can even dock him on would be potentially a quad sweep and some.
I do think Samson has a more pleasing physique, if you ask me.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I like Samson's physique.
Yeah, but Andrew's waist is smaller. So unless it's a size thing.
I just like Samson has like a roundness to him. I don't know.
Plus, Samson does not come in shredded, whereas he does.
Yeah.
I think Samson looked good at the Arnold, at least when I was in person. When he stepped on stage, he just kept going flat.
Yeah.
Like at least flatter from what I saw when he first stepped on.
Well, he's such a big dude too. Like you have to be so meticulous with how you fill that up to make sure it doesn't go flat. I mean, walking through a grocery store for him is probably enough to burn off fucking hundreds of grams of glycogen. I remember he was on Fuad's podcast. He said he had to use a cane when he was like at his highest weight walking around. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
What's the bad pose with the woman?
We get my man at a robotic exoskeleton.
Oh, the picture with him and his wife. That's his.
Saying if anybody shouldn't have to use a cane to get around, it's this.
That's
guy.
him and his wife, right?
Wait, she competes? Oh,
wait, I didn't know she competed.
She was his coach.
Oh, wow.
I knew she was his coach. I didn't know she competed. I thought he just had his wife telling him what to do.
Yeah, I didn't know she actually competed.
Yeah,
I didn't.
Now it makes more sense. Okay.
Oh,
how cool is that?
She got fucking shredded too.
That's physique, but still, that's really jacked. I didn't know Mel was that big.
Insane.
She got fucking shredded, man.
Now it makes more sense. Now it all comes together. I didn't know she knew what she was talking about. I thought he was just listening to her.
Wouldn't be the first time that's happened. I've been guilty of that one before.
I don't know if you want to do another rate my physique.
Yeah, I gotta wrap up soon, but I gotta get on a call here soon. Yeah, we probably have time for one more.
Got room
Fuck it.
for
I got like
one
10
more?
minutes, so I can stick around for a little bit longer.
All right, there's another Instagram handle in the private chat there you can bring up.
Okay.
Yeah, I know this guy.
Let me see here. What is it? At Waitstrom Poppy.
Weight Room Poppy.
Weight Room Poppy. I can't read. Let's see here.
Yeah, this guy's pretty good.
I'm still hungover. I tried some of those new gummies, Colin. I'm still hungover from them.
Which one? The ones that help you sleep?
Yeah, man, those fucking things are strong, man.
Yeah.
Of course, I haven't done anything like that in a while, so let's see what we got here. Oh man, he's a big dude.
Yeah.
He is definitely not a classic guy.
No.
No.
He's 20 weeks out, though. I'm a little worried, like, with what his condition's at right now. He's going to have to pull down pretty sharp.
He's 20 weeks out.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll be fine.
I don't know. These guys got thicker skin, man. I think he needs to work on his glutes.
This is your client?
No, I've seen him in passing.
Oh, he's got a great physique, man, I think.
Yeah, he's big, everything.
His
Hamstrings,
legs are
quads,
fucking amazing.
adductors,
Legs are
lats.
huge.
Amazing. From the
arms.
side, his legs are
I would
amazing.
squeeze those a little tighter. Bring the elbows up a little bit.
I can't tell if the lats need a little more work or if that's just posing. It looks like posing.
I think it
I
might be
think it
posing.
just needs more density in the upper body.
Yeah.
That's where I'd be focusing. And then glutes, like you said.
I'm impressed by that side leg right there. Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
That's thick.
Yeah, I mean, his back looks good from there. I think that was just posing from the front.
Hamstrings are already in. That's fucking weird. 20 weeks out.
His back density could be improved a little bit, but that's about it.
Yep.
Like if you took everything else of it, if you like blocked his arms and blocked his legs, like that back would look more amateurish.
He's a big kid.
Yeah.
How tall is he?
Yeah.
I don't know. If he's still in the chat, but how tall are you? Interested to know.
There's a lot of potential there. Let's see.
Yeah.
Here's some old competition photos, it looks like.
Oh,
God
yeah.
damn, look at
Sick
that
shot.
definition on it.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah.
Wow, that is a really good look.
He's 6 foot 230.
230.
That's fucking impressive, man.
Wow.
That's impressive.
So he's
Yeah.
classic then, right?
That's too big for classic, man.
Well, not for pro.
Yeah.
You're right. So, but I didn't know if you meant 20 weeks out. Is he 230 or is his competition's 230?
Man, that's good. Shredded glutes and all. Let's fucking go, dude.
Yeah, no, man. That
It's a lot of hard work went into that physique.
looks like a pro card to me.
Yeah.
Crazy thing is, his chest didn't look that full in his off season.
No,
Right there.
not at all.
It looks completely filled out right there.
Yeah.
Like I
I get like
changed
that
what I
too,
was gonna
man.
say.
I don't know why that is. My chest looks bigger. I think it's just being fat.
And then like, when you look at the glutes, I see what you're saying that they look a little small,
Yep.
but I think that's what makes it look classic to me rather than bodybuilding. There's this huge thigh and this tiny gut and tiny waist and tiny glutes.
Yeah.
Well, if he's 230 on stage, he's not making classic, and then you see, holy crap.
Wow.
I mean,
Crazy.
yeah, you definitely should not be doing mince.
Do you know what you should do?
Yeah.
You should do men's physique and turn pro and then compete in classic.
And then
Dude,
open,
that
right?
is insane.
You know what? For the record, a lot of people are like, Todd hates physique. I want to point out
Why would they have that idea though?
Why would they have that?
classic
impression?
physique should be
Yeah.
called classic bodybuilding. And
What?
then because I hate the fact that like one of the most offensive things about classic physique to me is the word physique is in it. Like if they called it classic bodybuilding, I might actually want to do it. But
They
But
talk
it's
about
too
that, though.
similar to physique because of the one word that I would just rather not compete than do it.
Well, he's
They
gotten a
talked
lot.
about why they didn't name it classic bodybuilding though, is because
They
it was-
should have just called it classic body. It's so stupid they call it classic physique.
He's gotten a
because-
lot bigger since these old pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I don't even know what he could improve on besides just getting bigger, but like he's man, like get
Um, I mean, I can't believe you're doing.
Yeah,
That's
don't do
physique.
physique, man. That's fucking. Look at how tight his shorts are. Like, get the fuck out of those things.
Yeah, man, you're a bodybuilder, dude.
He was 202 on stage last year.
See, that's what I mean.
His cap is 199. No way.
No, his cap is 212.
Oh, okay.
He's good. Like he has 10 pounds to put on in tissue.
Jesus.
It's hard to believe that I'm 1 inch taller than that guy, and I'm 40 pounds heavier on stage. I do not look 40 pounds bigger than him.
I would focus on the back. I think
He has
his back
hollow
is
bones.
probably-
No, I'm kidding. Bones only account for like 6 pounds.
I think his back is probably the biggest thing that needs work. But outside of that, I mean, his physique is so well rounded.
Yeah, I mean, that's I would say up to you, my man. If you want to be a pro, the potential is there. I don't see anything limiting that guy.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, need to wrap this up.
All
right, folks. I appreciate you being on today. Thank you for watching another anabolic bodybuilding live stream. Take care.
Goodbye.
Peace.
Dun, dun, dun.
I hope we don't get